Okay, now I have started recording. Let's see how it goes for today. Guys, remember during our last session that we did, right? What was the topics those we have discussed? Can anyone give me a walkthrough, or can anyone give me a hints like what we have discussed during our last session? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have used custom object repository where we have manually added all the objects, and then we have drag and drop the objects in the code, and we have manipulated different things in the code. We have used text checkpoint to validate text in the application. Is that correct? Okay, and we have used custom object repository, and before that when we did record, right, record and run, what kind of object repositories we were using on that time? Do you do record, where do your object goes? Local object repository. When you do recording, your object goes to local object repository. And when you use custom object repository, that means it is a custom object repository. It is also it is called shared object repository. Shared object repository. Anyone asking question? Okay. So shared object repository versus custom object local object repository. What does it mean? Right? So let's say the code that you are seeing here, right? This is a simple UFT test. Over there, can you see this is the shared object repository or custom object repository, and this is the local object repository, right? If you double click the local object repository, let's say I'm opening the local object repository, and can you see a couple of the objects we have there? Remember, when we did the text checkpoint, right? We have recorded text checkpoint, right? So when you do recording, all of your objects will be going to the local object repository. Now, there is a disadvantage with local object repository. The disadvantage is, like, let's say that this local object repository, if you do recording, it will, like, in a real testing team, you will be working with your colleagues, right, who will like to reuse your objects. So if it is in the local object repository, you cannot reuse those objects from the local object repository. Let's say you are writing one test script, right? And then when you are writing another test script, right, then from the local object repository you cannot access those objects. So if you add your objects, can you see local object repository? This local object repository is kind of uh, it is local to the test. Your friends, your colleagues, they cannot reuse it. You cannot reuse this local object repository's object in another test. So it is local to this particular test. If you open another test, and you will have to start from scratch. Okay. Now this local object repository, you only add objects there if you do not have to reuse, if your friend will not be using those objects, and it will be there only when you do record, right? Now that shared object repository that we are talking here, right? That shared object repository, can you see this shared object repository? The advantage with that shared object repository is, let's say you are starting another test, right? You can associate this particular repository to your another test. In that case, you do not have to add those objects one more time. So you can associate that. You will see today we will be associating this object repository to another test. Okay. And we will learn another thing as well, like how to write reusable, how to write reusable code, the code that you are seeing here, right? We will learn how to reuse those code. Okay, now reusing those code means like we will modularize the code in a way so that if I open another test script, I can associate or call this code. If my colleague, right, remember that the good thing about working in a team is you will be using their code wherever you need, they will be using your code wherever they need. So we will be writing our code in a way so that people from the team, they can use it, reuse it, right? That is the beauty of automation, right? Reusability of the code. Now so that shared object repository that we are viewing here, you will see like browser page, and under page we have objects, right? Under each page you will see we have multiple objects that we have used, right? Now each of this object, if you have to reuse, you can reuse throughout. If it is in the shared object repository, then only you can reuse. Now we will do that. We will learn how to reuse objects, we will learn how to reuse code. That is the goal today. So far we have learned record and run. We have learned how to use custom or shared object repository. We have learned how to use local object repository. We learn how to put a checkpoint like by putting if statement, and also we have learned how to put a text checkpoint, right? We have learned how to use reporter.report event if you have to fail a particular test. Okay, we have learned all of this so far. We are going to enhance our knowledge from that point. Okay, now so if your objects are in the shared object repository, then you can share it with your team, with your other test. Now, let's say that how will you share this code that you have written, right? First of all, we'll make sure that the automation that we have done last week, it is still working. Remember, when you write automation code, your goal is that your automation code will be working. It will not stop working. So you write your code in a way so that if there is a problem in the application, your code will be failing, but the code will not be failing because there is a disease in your code. You didn't write your code in an efficient way. You didn't write your code in a professional way. That's why it is failing. No, you do not want to write that kind of code. You want to write your code. Let's say that your automation code, the purpose of your automation code is to find bugs, to find defects in the application, in the software application that you are testing. You 100% you want to make sure that there is no defect in your code, there is no bug in your code, because you are testing the application those the developers are developing, right? But nobody is testing your code. You have to make sure that there is no bug in your code, so you have to write efficient code. Okay, now so first of all, let me run this code to make sure that my automation is still good. Our automation is still good. So I'm running this code, and it should bring the browser in Internet Explorer, and then it will be typing something in Google, right? And then it will be clicking on a link, and then it will verify something from the upcoming page, right? So it will be then clicking. Okay, can you see there is a problem in our code, right? Wikipedia. So let's see what is that code. So now you can you see understanding this message, right? Can you see cheese Wikipedia object was not found in the object repository? First of all, if you see an error, your first thing will be, okay, what is that message, right? If you know where the problem is, then you can give medication on that particular place. If you do not know, then oh my god, what has happened? So how will you know? You will know it from this run error message. So the message is saying, sometimes I have to copy this message and I have to Google, okay, what does this message mean, right? So yeah, sometimes I copy it from here. Now, by reading it, it is clearly saying this Wikipedia uh, chase wikipedia.wikipedia object was not found in the object repository, right? And can you see browser Google my checkpoint link chase Wikipedia in my repository? I do not have that object. I am trying to click on an object, right? Can you see cheese Wikipedia dot click? This is the object I am trying to click, right? I'm copying this, and it is complaining that this particular object is not in my repository. So I'm going to um, debug, and if you debug it will point out where the exact problem is. Can you see in line number 19 the problem is, right? So I can try one more time, right? I can try, okay, try one more time to identify. No, it was not able to get the object, right? So I'll be stopping it, and then I'll go back to my repository to see like if that object is there. I'm going to go back to my shared object repository. This is my shared object repository. Okay, in my repository, right? Currently, can you see it is read only? I'll say that, okay, go to read write mode. I'll press Control F, right? I'll press Control F, okay, to find. This is the object. It is complaining that it is not in the repository. I'll say find next. Wow, the object is there, right? The object is there, but it is not able to identify the object, right? Can you see the object is there, but it is not able to identify the object. Now can you see that one thing? um, it is when we are looking for that particular object, first of all, can you see the page choose Google search, and then this is the page. Can you see the this is the actual object. The object is under a page. This is the page, right? Can you see? Let me it is under the page named this, right? Okay, and then can you see browser? So browser will be Google, page will be choose Google search, right? And then you have the actual object. Now let's take a look what we have in our code in line number 19. So if you take a look line number 19, right? Can you see the object that we are trying to click? It is my text checkpoint object, right? Can you see my text checkpoint object? We are trying to click on a page that is the page is not matching with the page that we have there. You got it? So what I'm going to do here, I'm not sure why it is what we did, but let's say if you bring this object, if you drag this object one more time, then you have this, right? Now let's say you comment out control, let me comment out in this way. So you comment out the other line that is not working. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run it one more time. I have a process, it will close the browser automatically here. So I'm going to run the code one more time. Okay, and then it was able to click on that particular link, and it was able to verify an object from that his Wikipedia page. My test is passed. Okay, so up to that, any question up to that? No question. Very good. Okay, so here we made sure that the code is working. Now I'm going to modularize this code. How do you modularize? You modularize this code to make sure that it is reusable. You can reuse it for your another test. Your friends, your colleagues, they can reuse your code, right? So how do you do that? I'm going to put this, I'm going to bring the mechanism that will make sure the code is reusable. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to as you can see here, you can click on file, and then you can save function library. Can you see? You can add function library. You click on function library, and then it will give you what name you want to give. So let's say that I'm saving all of my function library in a particular folder here. I think I have a folder called UFT. Let me see if it is there. No, it is not there. I have two UFT. So I have a folder for, let's say I'm creating my function library here. I'm going to name it new folder, my func. This is the folder, and inside the folder I'm going to name this function library. And normally I give a meaningful name. Let's say Google automation func function library. I'm going to say create. Okay, so now here, what does this mean? You will see what I'm doing. Bring your question if you have any. So I'm going to create a function. I'm going to name it, let's say, close browser. This function will close browser. Whenever you need to close browser, you call this function. Okay, and what I'm going to do from my action, I'm going to take out, I'm going to take out this, and I'm going to put it in my function library. Okay, and I'll write a little bit description about this function library. Let's say that I'm going to put this function library is for what? Closing browser. It is just a comment. Let's say for closing browser. For closing browser. And then I'm going to take this function here. Okay, so that will close the browser. Then I'm going to write another function for opening browser. I'm going to take out this code and I'll be putting it here. Function open browser. Okay, I'll be putting it here. I'll put a small comment here like for opening browser. Okay, and then I'll be making a call of that method. Later on, you will see we will be parameterizing this method so that we can open any page. You will see that. So I have now a function for opening browser. And then this block of code is to verify the page loaded successfully. I'm going to take it out. Right? I'm going to write another method, another function, right? Verify Google logo, right? And I'll be putting my code here. And what this method is doing, this method is verify Google logo. And then I'll make a call of this method from there, from my function, from my action. Remember, in UFT, your code starts executing from your action. Like when you enter a house, the main door is your entrance point. When you go to a subdivision, the your entrance point is through the entrance point, right? Through the main entrance point of the subdivision. So in UFT, when you start executing your code, your main starting point is from the action 1. Okay, just remember this. And then we are going to what we are going to do, we are going to enter this cheese word in the search box, right? So for that, I'm going to again go there and I'm going to create another function named, okay, enter search word, right? And remember, later on I'll make it so that I can search anything instead of cheese later on. Okay, so this method is for what purpose? This method is for you know this method is for what purpose? We are enter a word for search, just putting a comment, meaningful comment, as much meaningful as possible. And then I'll have to make a call of this method from the action, action. Okay, and then the next step we are doing, we are clicking on the search button, right? I'm going to go there and I'll create another method here. The name of the method will be click on the search button. Okay, and I'll be putting it here, and then I'll put a comment here. Let's say that click on click on click on the search button. Okay, and then I'll have to call this. I'll have to call this from here. Okay, the next thing is verify text, right? The verify, there is a text checkpoint here. When you click on the search button, next thing you verify some text from that page, right? So I'm going to write a method for this function verify text from search result. Okay, and then I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to put a comment verify text from search result, and I'm going to make a call of this method and put it here, and the next thing is click on the choose Wikipedia link. So I'll be writing another method here, function or method. Remember, what is function or method? Function or method is the small module of code that does a particular thing, right? We are modularizing this code, so we are going to name it as click on the choose Wikipedia link. Okay. So I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to name it as click on a link, and I'm going to make this call here, and then the last thing is highlight the headline. Okay, next method is let's say function highlight chase headline. Okay, so here I'm going to put highlight. Okay, and then I'm going to make a call of this. Okay, now I'm going to put it here. Okay, now let me save all. Let me run one more time. Who can tell me if it will run or not? Oh, it is showing a problem, type mismatch. Can you see? It is not running. Why are we seeing this message? Anyone have any idea? Right, when I run it, actually it is not running. It is creating an issue. It is failing. Can you see? Type mismatch, close browser. It is not getting that method. That means like we have the method, we are trying to call a method and we do not have that method. Do not I have that method? I have that method in the function library, right? I have it, close browser. Why it is not able to make call? Okay, the reason I am presenting it in that way is a lot of time we forget one thing. We write the method in the function library and then we do not associate that method. Remember, you have written it, it is in your hard drive, but it is not associated with your code. So what you need to do for that? Can you see the solution? Can you see this solution untitled, right? Here, not here. Can you see this? Your test, right? This is the This is your test. You right click on that, and then here can you see add, and then can you see associate function library, and then this is the one, Google automation function, right? You double click on that and say yes. Now can you see action one, right? You have your object repository, and then you have your function libraries, right? Now you save and run one more time, and it should not be complaining anymore. Now can you see that it is closing the browser, and after closing the browser it is opening the browser, and then it is doing whatever it's supposed to be doing, right? It is verifying things, clicking on the link, verifying chase, right? And then it is coming out now. Okay, now let's say that we are done here. Now what is the reusability point that we have discussed, right? Now we have modularized the code, we have objects in the object repository, we have functions in the function library. Our code looks better. It is, the action doesn't look that much messy, right? All the messy things we put it inside the function library, right? Now what is the point of reusability? I said a lot of things about my friend will be able to use it, my colleagues in the work they will be able to use it. My friend means, you know, not my friend who lives in coming, right? Whoever working in the same organization, they will be able to use it. I have the objects in the repository, they'll be able to pull the object and they'll be able to reuse it instead of creating their own repository, right? How, right? So that is what we are going to do. Let's say we are done with this particular test case. We have a small test case. That was a small test case. Open Google, type cheese, make sure that the text is there, the link, Wikipedia link comes, and when you click on Wikipedia it brings the page. Okay, that is functioning good. This is one of the test case. That test case is done. Let's say test case one is done. Now you will see the function or action reusability in action. Now I'm going to create my second test case, right? I'm going to say new test, and I'll say, okay, the name of this test case is TC02. And what is the name? Let's say that in this particular one, we are going to, let's say that we will be going to Google, and then we will be, um, what we can do in Google, right? Instead of searching cheese, right? We will be searching for a website, a full link. Okay, cheese means it will bring a lot of things, but instead of searching like generic cheese, we are going to search for a whole website link, and we will make sure that the full link that you have given, it is bringing that link in the search result. Let's say this is my test case. So in this I'm going to name it as search for whole web link. Okay, this is the name, create. Now in this particular one I'm creating a new test, and you will see that the existing test is gone. This is a totally a new test. I have only a local object repository. Inside my local object repository I have nothing. Okay, and in my action I have nothing. That function library is not there. It is open there, but it is not associated. Let me remove it. And this checkpoint result, I do not need it. I'm going to remove it. And then this, I do not need it. I'm going to remove it. Okay, okay, now you come here. I do not have any shared object repository. I do not have any method library. Now remember, in this particular test as well, we have to close all the browser. We have to open Google, right? We have to type something, right? So we have to do this here. Now I can again write this functionality from scratch, or I can reuse whatever we did in the previous test. How you do that? Or let's say you have written the previous test case, your colleague is going to write the next test case. So they can, like, normally in an organization, the code that you have written, the object repository those you have written, it stays in a shared location where everyone has access. All of your colleagues have access on that particular shared location. So what will happen here, I'm going to bring those libraries from that particular place. First of all, can you see, right click on your action and can you see associate repository, right? You go there and my object repository is Google repository, right? I'm going to bring that Google repository, say yes. Okay, now, okay, I have it. And then let's say that now the object repository is there. Also, I'm going to bring, right click here, right? And I'm going to associate function library. I'm going to bring that function library. Okay. Now I have both of it. Now what I need to do, very simple. I need to close the browser if any browser open, bring it in your action, and then from the function library, you are opening the browser, right? You are opening the browser. Okay. So at least this two part I am able to reuse. Close browser, opening browser, and let's say that this particular, yeah, again, when you open the browser, you have to verify the Google logo. Every test case, you have to make sure that the page is loading before you do something else. So I'll be verifying, I'll be just calling it instead of writing anything. And if I go back after that, I'll have to search word, right? Although it is search word, I'm going to bring it here. I'll show you what I'm going to do with that. Up to this, I am reusing. Remember, to write this code, you have to do a lot of stuff, right? Now, let's do the execution. Okay, so it will be closing the browser. It will be opening the browser with Google website. And then it will be verifying the logo. After verifying the logo, and can you see that the Google website, the page is coming not in full screen, right? So what you can do, you can create another method out there. You can create another method out there. Let's say I'm going to create another method or function, maximize browser, right? And what you need to do, only copy this and put it here and put dot maximize. Okay, and what this method is doing, okay, maximizing the browser. And your, it need to be like when you open the page, right? Close the browser, open the browser. After opening the browser, the immediate task is to maximize the browser. So now if you run it, okay, it is now maximized and it has type chess. Okay, now do you understand the reusability point of code that we did? Is it making sense? Like, what does it mean by reusability in the automation code? Make sense, Nabed? Jaman, what about you?
Makes sense, yes.
Okay, how about you, Nahid bhai? Can you hear me, Nahid bhai? Oh, he's not in the call. Okay, he was having issue. Okay, all right. So here, now let's come back. Okay, so enter the search word. Now instead of searching a word, we are going to search for the whole link. Let's say we are going to search for the website qaquestions.org. So let's say qa questions, and if you, so qaquestions.org, this is the site. you are going to search for this one. I'm going to copy the link and I'll be coming here. Instead of searching word, I'm going to search for this particular website, the whole particular link. Okay. How will you do that? I'm going to parameterize this part. You will see this is a new thing. I'm going to put this here. Okay. I'm going to search for this link. Now over there in your method, you have to modify your method. Right, you have to modify your method so that instead of cheese it is able to search for something else. So I'm going to put here a string, let's say search search word or sentence, right? And then instead of cheese I'm going to put it here. Okay, search word. Okay, now so let's see if I run it how it goes. Okay, and then I will explain more here. Let me run it. There could be an error. Okay, searching for this. Okay, so let me go back. Let me minimize this. So if you take a look here, can you see it was able to put this instead of cheese, it was able to put this qaquestions.org here. Does it make sense to you, like what I'm doing here? Have you seen what I did? Instead of
Cheese.
right now I have written a method where I can supply anything and the method can put it anything on that particular text box. Instead of cheese I put QA questions. Instead of questions I can put www.wellsfargo.com. Right, I can put anything. Does it make sense? That is what I'm calling like parameterizing the method. I'm passing parameter. When I'm calling the method, I'm passing a parameter in the double quotation. And when I'm calling that method, you will see, let me put a breakpoint here. Okay, and you will understand what does this parameter means. Just closing the browser. Okay, now I am at line number 5. Let me go, not step over. If you step over, it will execute that whole function at one click. I want to go step into. Okay, you will see now. Now can you see I am inside that method? Okay, now let's take a look. Few things important you note here. Can you see local variables? Go to that local variables. Can you see search word? The variable that you said search word is now having that qaquestions.org. So that means, let's say you are trying to drink water. What you do, your water is in your refrigerator, or let's say that in your in a jug. From the jug, you take the water to a cup or in a glass, right? And then you drink it. So here from the action is the jug. From the jug, you are pouring this link, and that link is going to go to that small cup. This is the small cup. So the link that you are supplying is coming into that word, and then you are putting that word in your mouth, or this water in your mouth. So here, that particular link that you have supplied from your action came into this variable, and that variable you are searching. Okay, so in that way, like um like you can search, you can parameterize. Now our time is over today. Next week, remember, if you do not practice, it will not happen. I want everyone, whatever we did up to this, at least you are able to demonstrate, you are able to share your screen and show that your code is working, your code is with like you have written the methods, you have custom object repository where you have objects, you have a function library where like this, where you have functions, and from there you have called the functions from your action. Up to this, I want to see that you have parameterized this word that you can search anything in Google. Okay, up to this, and then if you can do a couple of extra exercise on your own, that will be highly appreciated. But up to this, I want to see it is ready, you are able to explain it, you are able to walk it through uh, in the presentation process. Okay, now this is your basically to do. Make sure that it is ready. In the beginning we will take a look at your code. Okay, and in terms of UFT, right, licensing will be over soon, so you want to practice as much as possible. Probably I'll be sending a couple of test cases that I will ask you to automate. Prepare for that. So you can take today and tomorrow to automate whatever we did. Make sure that you are ready to present it, and then probably by tomorrow you will receive a couple of test cases from me that you will have to automate. And remember that Excel online sheet where I ask you to input your time every week is supposed to be studying 10 to 15 hours at least. Make sure you are updating that Excel sheet. It is important. Okay. Mhm. Mhm. So, have you got a browser that is working with your UFT? Okay, let me do this. Let me stop this recording. We can take a look at it after Maksud Bhai's session today. We'll take a look at it after his session, and in the meantime, let's go through this session with Maksud Bhai, and then you basically will take a look at your issue. So for now, I'm going to stop this recording.